Good morning. It is 7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett on this Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. Do you have an SOS on your phone this morning? We all do. We'll have some more on that this morning in just a few minutes. But first, hope you're keeping warm out there. It's another cold start. Meteorologist Candace Campos is standing by in the Pinpoint Accurate Weather Center getting results for this forecast. And you have some heat for us eventually.
Yes. Temperatures are going to be warming up next week. We're going to be back into the 80s by Wednesday. But we're actually warming up a little bit back into the upper 70s tomorrow, all ahead of our next cold front. That's going to come through by tomorrow afternoon, and that's going to be warming us up tomorrow, but then dropping those temperatures just in time for the weekend. And yes, it's funny, right before you jumped to me, I was just texting my husband going, don't try calling me because I'm not getting any phone calls.
Yeah, it kind of put me in a panic at first.
I know. I was watching a little Netflix this morning while I was doing my hair and makeup, and then all of a sudden everything went down. So
yes,
I didn't know what happened to my show. So I'm on suspense.
I know.
But no, overall it's going to be a really nice day today. So get outside, enjoy it, embrace this nice weather because again, like I said, down the 7-day, we're going to be right back into the 80s. So let's take it to the map, show you what's going on right now. We're in the 30s, 40s, and 50s across Central Florida. We're at 36 degrees in the Villages, 48 in Orlando, 53 there in Cocoa Beach. Now throughout the day, we're going to continue to ramp up into the low 70s, which is right where we should be for this time of the year. Still staying dry, nice light breeze in place. Then later on tonight, our winds are going to start veering more southerly, and that will allow those temperatures to kind of stay more in like the 40s and 50s range rather than the 30s and 40s range. So even though I wrote here slightly warmer night, it's not a warm night. It's just not as cold as what we've been dealing with for the past few mornings. So let's show you kind of that kind of a wider view of what we're talking about here when it comes to our next system. We've got a ridge of high pressure right now in control, but we are watching the approach of that cold front. As that cold front makes its way into Central Florida by tomorrow, we will start to see more cloud cover. The breeze will be picking up as well as a warmer day tomorrow. Highs for tomorrow will be more into those upper 70s rather than the low 60s. Upper 70s rather than low 70s today. Clouds and rain forecast showing the cloud cover coming through early Friday morning around 7 a.m. But the actual rain along that frontal boundary doesn't really start to approach the area until about 4 or 5 o'clock across our northern neighborhoods, Flagler County, seeing some light to moderate rain by that point in time during your Friday. But you can see it's not a washout. It's not going to be a torrential downpour. We do have just a very shallow portion of our atmosphere that is going to be juiced enough to create some rain. So we're really not expecting any booming thunderstorms with this front, just a little more scattered showers kind of moving through Central Florida. And then it should clear by about 8 o'clock Friday night. And then we'll clear out our skies and the weather will look absolutely beautiful. So as we get results here, your full 7-day forecast, rain chances for tomorrow will be about 40% average, might be a little higher across our northern zones like from Marion and Flagler. A little less the further south you go. So you saw that line kind of fall apart as it made its way southward. So that's exactly what we're looking at rain-wise. And then come Saturday and Sunday, just a fantastic weekend. Temperatures are going to be nice and cool. It's one of those weekends where it's warm outside in the sun, but then when you're in the shade, it's a little bit on the cooler side. We'll still have a breeze in place, by the way. It comes Saturday, and then we will continue to warm up quickly. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be back possibly into the low 80s. Could see a nice little stretch of 80s throughout the rest of next week. So stay tuned. But yeah, real nice looking forecast this weekend.
I love it. I'm really enjoying this, other than the pollen, but I have flown.
Can you hear it?
I know. I feel so bad. What happened?
I don't know. I woke up. I don't know.
Maybe it was that ice cream you had yesterday. Maybe it's the,
That could be, but I am now like, I feel like a robot, like running out of like batteries because I just have tea and this is not giving me the caffeine boost I need. And Ezzy Castro, who is our, Cuban coffee extraordinaire maker, she gave me a little shot of cafecito today and that still hasn't done much. So I'm going to have to start parting off a K-cup off of somebody pretty soon.
Okay. I have a couple around here. Let me know.
Listen, you already supplied breakfast with a banana nut bread.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
How long did it take you to make it?
At checkout yesterday at Costco. Because that's where I got it. It's Kirkland banana nut bread. gentleman checking me out said that this is a limited time item. So,
No,
yeah, get it while the
no. Why
getting's
would they
good
do
and
that?
freeze it. Yep.
You know, there's a special little secret at Costco that if you look at the price tag,
Mm-hmm.
if there's like a star
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, I don't have to research it. But if there's like a little asterisk or something, that means it's like a seasonal product, or they're like test trying it.
Oh,
So, or there's
okay.
another little symbol that says like this is like our last run of it. So if you really like it, stock up.
Mm.
It's a very interesting cult in the Costco world.
I know we need to do, I don't know, a segment in there because I didn't get everything I
I bet
needed
there's a
yesterday. I
Costco
will be
podcast.
back. Right.
Yeah.
Anytime I see something on social media where people are telling me about, finds and things that they like there, I love that. So I'm
Yeah,
always
I
following
know. The
those
problem
people
is you
if I
get me
see
in the
them.
door and then I come out
Hmm.
with $300 worth of products.
Right. Right. This is our version of clubbing at this stage in life. The big
Membership.
box stores. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
It's my
Yeah.
jam. All right, Candace, thank you.
You're
Okay, I'm
welcome.
going to talk about this AT&T outage now. I was on my way to work, and usually, if I see anything interesting or something's going on, I glance at my phone a little bit, but I noticed that the signal was down, and I thought, oh, maybe it's this construction around here on the roadways overnight. Maybe they hit a line or something. I don't know. And I get all the way to work, and it's still not working. And then I come into the newsroom. A few people here also look down and notice, like, oh, yeah, it says SOS. So maybe you have that SOS this morning. And if you have Wi Fi, you can deal with it for now. But we still don't know exactly what's going on. This is a really big outage around 4 a.m. We started noticing the SOS on our phones, and you can make emergency calls, but that is about it. And so we checked, and many people around the country are also sounding off about this. And so far, AT&T hasn't said exactly what's going on or anything about what may have happened, but we'll, of course, let you know as soon as we find out anything right here, clickorlando.com, and on News 6 coming up at noon on WKMG. So try to stick close to the Wi-Fi if you're really dependent on that device, that phone, or what have you today if you need to make calls. If you're with AT&T, or use one of those other phones if you have a backup phone that may be on a different network. We want to get to the latest on the moon mission. Lunar Lander set to land today. The countdown is on, and if all goes well, that American-made spacecraft will land on the lunar surface for the first time in more than 50 years. We're landing something there. So News 6's Mark Lehman breaks down how one local group of university students is particularly proud about this mission and the deeper meaning for them.
Pictures from onboard showing the Odysseus lander on its approach to the moon. The spacecraft from Intuitive Machines will be in orbit for the next several hours before beginning its descent towards the lunar surface. All of this marking a big day for space travel, as it's been more than 50 years since the United States landed a spacecraft on the moon.
It's a lot of excitement. So we've been working for this for a couple of years now, and everything's coming to fruition.
On the lander is a mini satellite camera system developed by students at Embry-Riddle University. EagleCam is designed to fall to the surface and take a series of images of the descending spacecraft.
So we will get the first selfie or bird's eye view of landing on a celestial body. That picture's never been taken, and we're looking forward to that awesome photo.
The goal of the mission is to land near the moon's south pole. Experiments are also on board that could help with future lunar landing missions like Artemis 3. If successful, the lander will be the first commercially built craft to reach the moon.
And Mark Lehman is with us live this morning. Good morning, Mark. You're out there at Embry-Riddle this morning, and they are just, really excited about this.
Oh yeah, good morning, Bridget. Lots of excitement for this lunar lander that's going to be touching down later this afternoon. That's because the students, about 24 students at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, designed a special camera on board that's going to be playing a big role in all of this as the spacecraft touches down on the moon. Here's the cool thing: is that camera, it's called EagleCam, is going to jettison from the lunar lander and sort of take a selfie of the spacecraft as it touches down on the lunar surface. We know these students have been put on a lot of long hours, long days, weeks, months to design and craft this, and it's been on board this, it's on board the rocket that launched last week, and then now we're just hours away from it touching down on the surface of the moon. So big moment for these kids. We're going to be watching this afternoon.
And do we know, like, how long it'll be before we'll, get those images, or just exactly what they're hoping to confirm or find or look for?
Yeah, I think they're going to be noticed. They're going to know instantaneously, I guess, if everything works, because they're going to be holding a watch party when this happens at 5:30 this afternoon. The students involved in this, as well as the rest of the student body at Embry-Riddle as well. So they'll be watching the images coming, from NASA, as who has worked hand in hand with this private company, Intuitive Machines, who launched the spacecraft last week. I'm not exactly sure what kind of images we're going to be getting from this when it happens, but I know that a lot of people are going to be watching this because this is the first time a U.S. built spacecraft will be touching down on the moon in more than 50 years. So incredible moment.
And I'm curious, in terms of the locale of where it will land in comparison to, the original landing on the moon. Like, do they know, the distance yet from, the previous site and where this will land, or have they told us?
I'm not versed as well as where, like, say, the Apollo mission touched down exactly where on the
Yeah.
moon, but I know that they're targeting for this spacecraft to land near the moon's south pole. They
Okay.
picked this area because it should be a safe area for it to land. No, craters or debris or anything that will get in the way of the lander as it touches down. So they're hoping that it's going to be successful. But this is also the toughest part of the mission here, because there's a lot of difficulties that go into this when you're landing something on the moon. Probably a lot of the reason why it goes into why this hasn't happened in more than 50 years, since 1972 was the last time. Another big thing involved in all this is that this company, Intuitive Machines, private company, and this will, if it's successful, this will be the first privately built spacecraft, Lunar Lander, to actually reach the surface ever.
Mm. And so this is around during the 5 o'clock hour, or starting around 4. We need to start watching the coverage, or how do we set our timers for this today?
Yeah, they're targeting 5:30 this afternoon for the touchdown. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of coverage, leading up to it. I know we're going to be carrying that on News 6 and on clickorlando.com when it does happen. And this mission is also very important as well because it could play a big role for returning astronauts to the moon. We know there's a lot of experiments that are going to be conducted on this lander, and that could have a role in when Artemis 3 actually returns to the moon, when you have the group of 4 astronauts make that trip to the moon. And they're going to be watching this as well very closely to see what happens and what the results of those experiments are, if it is successful today.
All right, this is exciting, Mark. I definitely will try to watch it with the kids. What about you?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll be getting home from school around 3:30 this afternoon. I'll make them tune in because it's a big moment because
Mm-hmm.
we've been to the moon. Well, in our lifetimes we haven't been to
Mm-hmm.
the moon, so it's been a long time, and to see us actually touch down and playing a big moment for humans to return to the moon. It's definitely a big moment in NASA history and space history, and we'll see hopefully if it's successful today because we know there's been a lot of failed missions along the way, but this one has been looking good so far. Last check, the company behind it said that everything is looking good, all systems go. Right now, the spacecraft is orbiting the moon about 60 miles above the lunar surface, and just waiting for that moment when they'll be able to touch down later this afternoon. I mean, just a few hours away at 5:30.
All right, we're going to be anxiously awaiting this one. And Odysseus was known for his homecoming, so it's very fitting, I'm sure, in how they chose that name for this. But Mark, thank you for the analysis and the feedback on this. And I know those students at Embry-Riddle are so proud right now, and it's just an amazing experience for them as well.
They're very excited.
All right, see you later, Mark. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Well, Well, we want to talk about the social media bill. You know, we've been covering this, and Ezzy Castro has more on this in just hours. State lawmakers are set to vote on that controversial bill banning social media for people under the age of 16. The governor says he is worried that the language in this bill won't hold up in court.
The Florida Senate today is set to pass the controversial bill that will ban kids under the age of 16 from having social media accounts. The bill, which was passed by the Florida House last month, went through some changes in the Senate, but the strict age requirement remains. Critics maintain it should be parents and not lawmakers who make the decision.
Why is the legislature or the government, why is it the legislature or the government's place to be doing that for our children?
We know that U.S. teen girls who had major depression nearly doubled from 2010 to 2020.
Governor Ron DeSantis has said he supports the idea about restricting social media and teens, but he also said the bill might have gone too far in violating constitutional rights.
And I think that I'm not going to be supporting if I don't think it's going to be something that's going to pass legal muster in the court.
Okay, so we'll see what happens and we'll keep you posted on that one. There's an interesting I-4 project plan we want to show you that is, the renderings are just astounding. They're gorgeous. I mean, it looks like something out of, I don't know, like you're inside an aquarium or Avatar or something, but it is a City of Orlando plan, a bold plan to attract more vibrant life to this vacant corner of downtown. They call it an urban oasis underneath I-4. If you've ever been stuck under I-4 in downtown, you know it could use a little bit of sprucing. So this was once home to hundreds of parking spaces, and maybe you parked under I-4, but the I-4 Ultimate Construction kicked off in 2015, of course, and they now have something called Under I that will now be called the Canopy. Emily McLeod explains.
The City of Orlando releasing new renderings and a new name for what used to be called the Under I Project. The concept, now called the Canopy, was created out of feedback from the community and focuses on 6 core ideas, including connection, greenery, and safety. So what's now concrete and fencing could eventually end up looking more like this. While several people were excited to see the new rendering, some would like to see more recreational features.
Maybe a basketball court.
Yeah?
How about that? Yeah.
Maybe tennis courts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a recreational, what do you call it? Like a sports complex.
City of Orlando's urban project manager Martin Hudson says several factors, including the coronavirus pandemic, led the city to change the proposed concept from 2019 to what it is today.
When we kind of came out of that and we had an opportunity to look and say, what do we need at this point moving forward? We felt like that the ability to create a community gathering space where the community can come together for festivals and events and really create great connectivity became a priority.
Hudson says they're looking at several ways to make sure the Canopy is a safe environment at all hours.
Especially at night after things kind of shut down, we will turn all the lights white. And it will be obviously very bright underneath there. The other thing, we'll have a sound system, and so we're looking at a certain time at night, we will play kind of a low volume sound. Some of the European cities have started doing this, and you play certain sounds that people don't enjoy.
In downtown Orlando, Emily McLeod, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, we'll see what happens. You know, it's you know, these are renderings. It's an idea. Hopefully, if it's not this, it'll be something better, but we'll keep you posted. All right, so we talked about the SOS, if you've got AT&T, but Apple, let's talk about Apple. For years, you know, we've put these in rice if something happens with water, and, you know, it's hit or miss. I can count the times. It's worked less times than it didn't work. Well, it didn't work more times than it did. But anyway, Apple is saying don't put it in rice or don't put it in any grains to try to dry it out if it gets wet, and that could actually do more damage because those grains could get inside the device and cause more damage. And they say it's best to let devices dry out on their own. And they say that you can gently tap the phone with the charging port facing down to try to let water drip out. Good luck, because I just end up having to get a new device, but there you go. I guess they're just letting you know so that if they find rice, then your Apple Care is canceled. I don't know. But Crystal Moyer has a good story for us. It's an art form many people don't really think about. You know, she showed us the Super Bowl coins the other week. This is really cool, and it is blacksmithing here in Central Florida, and she takes us down a trip down memory lane.
It's a celebration at a National Historic Landmark right in our backyard. I'm News 6 anchor and insider guide Crystal Moyer here at Fort King in Marion County. And if you haven't been here within the last year, you probably won't recognize this building. It's new, a reconstruction of the blacksmith shop from the 1800s. Blacksmiths from across the state, they're going to gather here over the weekend to celebrate the trade and share some history.
All of it's addiction. I mean, do I need 10 hammers? Probably not, but some of them have their own uses.
Justin Miller is a blacksmith and has been forging for about 4 years. When someone says I'm forging something, what does that mean?
It's usually using heat to make it easier to manipulate the steel with typically a hammer, or power hammer, or press.
Typically, blacksmiths start with raw or scrap iron or steel, using a forge, kind of like an enclosed fireplace, to get the metal hot enough to manipulate. The trade dating back to 1500 BC.
It's a lot of work. It's hot. Your arms get tired. Swinging the hammer all day long will wear you out.
That's why he also has a few power hammers to help. Justin's created tools, knives, and other things like steak turners. He says he's fallen in love with the hobby.
Really hammer and steel, just spending time in the shop, isolating my attention on one thing.
Justin's also a member of the Florida Artist Blacksmith Association. The group will be a part of Fort King's first Hammer In event, showcasing the trade and forging historical hardware and artifacts to go along with the new blacksmith shop on site.
It's really neat to have a historically accurate building of a real traditional blacksmith shop of the era. I mean, everything that I forge in now is just usually people's garages or people's shops.
While it may look like he's just beating up steel, Justin says it's important to keep the history of blacksmithing alive.
If it dies, it dies, and it's, you know, it could never come back again. And it's something that a lot of people enjoy. You're making a handmade product or piece of art or tool, and there's not a lot of that.
The Hammer In event takes place Saturday, and it is free for visitors. I posted the details on the location and time at clickorlando.com/insider. In Marion County, Crystal Moyer, Getting Results, News 6.
Very cool stuff there. Thanks, Crystal. Now to Daytona, where they have a new attraction for the whole family. And News 6 was at Daytona Aquarium as they opened the doors for the first time yesterday. Lots of people came out. It's off of International Speedway Boulevard, Nova Road. Lots of sea creatures to see. Owners say that they plan to add even more exhibits, including a rainforest exhibit sometime in the next year. So just something fun to do indoors if you're around Daytona. But I love it out there, and that is definitely a very nice attraction there. So again, that's the new Daytona Aquarium off of International Speedway Boulevard and Nova Road. If you haven't heard, WKMG is hitting the road, and we are taking the news to your neighborhood. We're starting in the 32825 neighborhood in East Orange, and we want to hear from you about the issues, the stories, the hidden gems in 32825. So let us know. Go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad, or you can go to this QR code. Scan it right there with your camera phone. I hope you're on Wi-Fi so you can check that out. Just open up your camera phone, scan the code, and click the link, and that takes you to our Hits the Road page. But again, that's clickorlando.com/hitstheroad. We want to know what's going on in 32825. That's going to do it for us here on Breakfast with Bridgett, and we have Weather-Wise coming up next for you with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. We hope you have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7:30, and I'll be back with you, and Candace will be as well with more news and weather on WKMG News 6 at noon. Take care.